Hi, welcome to Throttle Therapy. This is a fun motorcycle podcast where we talk about motorcycles by three sexy middle-aged men. Where's the third? Yeah, it's a good question. So today let's talk about the elephant in the room. For once, it's not referring to either of us. We are referring to something that's hiding underneath here. So let's unveil this motorcycle. So we are referring to the real elephant in the room at a whopping 243 kilos dry. Not Bhagwat, but say hello to the classic 650. So let's get started, okay? So for people who are new here, obviously you're new because it's our first episode. We'll leave the link to the chapters below. We talk about the motorcycle, we talk about the use case of the motorcycle. We're not just talking about spec sheet here because most YouTube reviews give those spec sheets. Yeah. We're talking about riding the motorcycle and sharing our experience with you. So the first topic is, why do you think, was there a requirement for Ari to make the Classic 650?
Absolutely. Everybody wanted a classic, a bigger classic. Classic 500 was there. I mean, it was just natural to get a Classic 650.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's a natural evolution. I think they needed to do that because there was only the Classic 350 now. They stopped the 500, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. And plus, I think that engine is a gem of an engine. So it would be criminal not to put it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Refinement, it's got all the bells and whistles.
We'll talk about it in detail under that.
So just to give you a perspective, I think Ari in the last financial year sold around 45,000 motorcycles in the 650 segment, and the total India size of the 650cc market was something like 48 to 49,000.
Is that good or bad?
Well, I think it's great.
I think so too, yeah. That's a huge number.
What, 90%?
94, 95% market share.
95%.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I mean, there's only ones in this market space in that price range, right? I don't think that there's any other bike that matches in terms of cubic capacity versus price.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You have a parallel.
Yeah, parallel to an 650cc.
So the thing is, in this podcast, we're going to talk about our first impression of riding the motorcycle. So both of you had a chance to ride this motorcycle over 200 kilometers on the day of the launch. I remember you guys riding it out the same night as the launch day, right?
Yeah,
so what is your first ride impressions?
You go.
So, honestly, the moment we sat on it, it just felt comfortable. Like, the moment you sit on it itself, you just get a sense of ease. That's the first thought that I got.
True.
I did feel the weight.
Yeah.
But once it got going, it felt
Easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't have that, that forward position, that little aggressive this thing that you have in the GT or even in the shotgun.
Yeah, so that the seat in the handbar kind of just felt natural.
Yeah,
right?
it felt like a natural, easy position.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like as if, it's something that, oh shit, I have to think about, I have to do this, I have to do that, okay, where do my feet have to go? None of that nonsense.
Agreed.
It just felt natural to sit on the bike.
Yeah. Same. And actually what stood out for me is the quality of the bike. Like, it is a beautiful bike to look at.
Oh yeah, the fit and finish is sorted now.
It's built, like it's solidly built, but at the same time, quality is also very good. Like, ever since the new generation of the Royal Enfield, all of them up their quality. This being the most premium motorcycle, platform that they offer, I think fantastic quality, especially the chrome version, and it's nice to look at. So when you sit on it, you assume that people like looking at you sitting on the bike.
Yeah.
You feel very, like special.
Especially for a big guy like us. Big guys like us.
So that brings me to the next question. Who do you think it's designed for?
For the Ane Mari, I would say.
No, so I honestly think yes, big guys, no doubt. There's a lot of space in bikes. So, but I honestly think anyone above 5'5" who's got some experience in riding won't find this too challenging. It's quite an easy bike to ride. Agree, moving it around when it's stationary is hard. It's heavy, no doubt about that. But it's an easy bike to ride.
Yeah, and I honestly, if my dad, who is about 62, 63, got on this bike, he'd be really comfortable.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
In the beginning, when you read the spec sheet, it's scary about the weight.
Yeah.
But once you sit on it, you're like, dude, what the hell are you talking about weight?
Yeah, but you do have to be careful because when you say you park on an incline or
Yeah, for sure.
So let's come to the weight in a bit.
Okay.
Okay. But I think this motorcycle is designed for someone who's a traditionalist. Someone who's not looking for gadgets and features on the motorcycle, but someone who just wants a motorcycle that does the job.
Yeah, honestly, like how often are you really going to be looking at your rev meter and going, oh shit, okay, now we're at 6,500 RPM change now.
Yeah, a person looking for that is definitely not going to look at this bike.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ideally the bike that a person who's ridden a Classic 350 would upgrade to, and rightly so. I mean, the name says it all.
Do you think the rider needs to be a mature rider to handle the weight, to handle the size of the motorcycle? It can't be a first motorcycle.
Honestly, no, I don't think so. I honestly think that even like a little taller lady would be able to handle this motorcycle.
Yeah, I think anyone.
It's so easy that way.
True, women can ride. Anyone above like 5'5", according to me, 5'4", 5'5", should be able to manage because seat height is relatively low. First time, I wouldn't recommend. First time bike owners, it's easy to ride, but
yeah, of
moving
course.
it around in the parking lot and stuff,
yeah.
little challenging.
For sure.
But
Like if you're not used to, if you're going from like 100cc, 150cc bike, which weighs
Absolutely.
as much as a peanut, compared to this which weighs half of Vishesh's leg.
But I think a second bike, absolutely. And in terms of your question about it being a more, discerning person who wants to relax, right? Yes, but that doesn't mean that someone who is younger, who likes a faster bike, can't ride this. What both of us ride very, let's just say spiritedly, and we enjoy our fast bikes. But when we sat on this bike and rode it, it makes you enjoy riding it calmly. And that's the special trait. We'll talk about it further later on.
Sure.
But
So do you look at this as it can't be a one bike garage for sure?
no.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a one bike.
It's not a one bike garage.
It's not a
So it's someone who's looking for a bragging right as
but-
well. I own a Classic 650. Do you think that's something that comes up in your mind?
Yeah,
For sure, but sorry.
relatively premium price if you look at it. So there is some prestige in owning it. And it looks fabulous. So I think the looks itself puts it in that class.
But coming back to that point of you saying one bike garage, you have to define what a one bike garage is in terms of what you're going to be doing. Now, one bike garage generally means that you want a bike that does off-roading.
Do it all,
that does,
Not necessarily off-roading, maybe like a daily. What I think a one bike
Absolutely,
garage would be like a daily use car.
Like a daily and a weekend commuter, all of it put together as one.
I won't say it. I won't.
So this definitely I don't think is a one bike garage.
You're not going to using this in Bangalore traffic for sure. No, not in peak traffic. You can, but you wouldn't really enjoy it too much.
See, a lot of people when I talk to them about this motorcycle, the first impression is it looks great. So coming to the aesthetics of it, do you think Ari has nailed it in the aesthetics department?
Aesthetics, I'd say so. It looks like a classic for sure, which is.
I feel it's like
what
a
it needs to be.
timeless, iconic British design. That's what they've nailed, and they've even gone to the details of chroming out this motorcycle, especially this one, like the black chrome.
Yeah.
The switch cubes are chrome.
Yeah.
The wheel hubs are chrome. There's chrome in places that you would not imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, I like
and
the
if you look
attention
at
detail.
this-
Notice
Yeah.
the center stand.
The center stand is the same color as the chassis
So small
and the whole
details
body. Yeah.
go a long way. It looks good. I think looks-wise they've lived up to the Classic brand very well.
I And even the color options are great. The Vallam red, I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah.
The chrome is great. The teal is great.
What was the one that we wrote? The one with the maroon one.
That's the
That's the
Vallam
Vallam.
red.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a nice color. Yeah.
So I think they've nailed it in the fit and finish.
Yeah. But there's one thing that I honestly would have really liked is a badge.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the badges too.
I miss the badge. Like if that badge was there, it would have been something.
That's definitely retro and I feel it gives it that charm.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows, knowing Royal Enfield, they'll come up with a bunch of new colors and badges.
So the other thing I really like is you can just take off the pillion seat, right, and the frame.
Oh yeah.
So and that really adds to the look of the motorcycle, especially if you're someone who rides solo a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want that pillion seat just jutting around, right?
Yeah, especially when you want to get away from the wife and you don't. You're like, listen, I'm going. Where
Sorry,
you
you
sit,
can't
there's no
come,
space in the
there's
back. Sorry.
So talking about getting away from your wife, this is a motorcycle that I think you can ride all day long. So let's talk about the riding posture and the riding triangle. So you guys have done a fair amount of kilometers on this motorcycle. So what are your thoughts on the riding comfort and the posture of this motorcycle?
So honestly, don't mind if I go, but it's difficult to get away from the wife because it's really comfortable for the pillion as well. I took my wife to Mysore and came back.
On the Classic 650?
On the Classic 650. She was really comfortable. She had no issues with it. She didn't complain of the suspension being stiff. The rear seat is actually nice and got some solid
Yeah, it's
cushion.
got some solid padding.
Yeah. If you see, it's a nice firm one.
Firm, yeah.
So with it being firm, it feels good. And because this is a floating seat,
Yeah.
we miss the whole springs, but those springs also used to throw you around.
It's suspended, right?
And you can see here.
Yeah.
So you were comfortable on that long.
She was comfortable. The seat is nice and wide. The foot pegs are in a natural position for her to keep the legs, as well as for me. So at certain points, I was saddling the bike. I was literally standing without any issues. And because this is closer in towards me, I was literally standing up like this. And
Why were you standing?
Yeah, why
Because
was
my ass is
saddling on this
hurting.
motorcycle?
Fair enough.
well, I was curious to see if I could stand. I could stand.
I mean, I didn't ride it as much as you did, but I was very comfortable. And like he said, the suspension, they've found that sweet spot. We'll probably discuss it more in detail later, but yeah, comfort-wise, seat-wise.
I think that weight makes the suspension compliant.
Yeah, but they've definitely done something compared to the Shotgun and Super Meteor, and they've fine-tuned it. It's not the same setup.
Also, I think a lot of people have been wanting to know if this is the same Shotgun chassis. According to me, it looks the same, but the suspension feels much better.
Yeah,
Like the front end is definitely far more sorted.
yeah.
It felt a lot better. I remember you jumping over a hump.
Yeah. And not even close to as uncomfortable and stiff as the Shotgun.
Yeah. I think well.
So coming to the front suspension, it's a 43 mm telescopic front, right? I also think they've kept that because it also fits in with the classic design.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course.
This entire
This
thing,
hooded thing is great. I love it.
very nicely done. Very nicely done. The integrated lights over here and this little hood
The good old design.
and this suspension, it's the retro look. It looks fantastic. Yeah.
And it works. It works.
Yeah.
It takes road
So
chatter
coming
well.
back to the ergonomic standpoint, so you said you can ride on this motorcycle all day long, right? So talk to me a little bit more about the handlebar position, the seat position, the foot peg position. Did you feel comfortable on the motorcycle?
Yeah. It falls to hand. It's so comfortable. This is the most neutral riding position you can ever have. Like it's very natural bend over here, and there's no lean forward whatsoever.
Yeah.
So you're relaxed, you're riding, and if you sit the posture, it's pretty much like sitting on a couch and riding. So very comfortable.
I
It's
love
like
the
sitting
fact.
on a lazy boy, is it?
It's as close as can be.
Yeah.
And the thing is, see, the seat cushioning is also very firm and nice. So long distance shouldn't be a problem.
The best part about this is your hands are in a natural position. It's not a straight bar.
No.
And it's a little leaned.
Yeah.
It's a little, angulated, so it's natural.
Yeah. In fact, it's very reminiscent of the
Old classic.
350,
Yeah.
which is what made that bike so popular.
Yeah.
So that way they've really done a good job.
I love the fact that the tank is now a nice teardrop shape.
Yeah.
It's not that old this thing. And the other thing that I really like about it is the tank cap doesn't come off. It stays on. It's with the hinge.
So the 350, the tank cap comes off, or is it hinged?
No. Compared to like the GT and the Interceptor.
Yeah.
So in the 650s, I'd have to.
You have to hold it and.
Yeah. And how many times I've dropped it and lost it? Oh
How
God.
do you lose the tank cap? So you just ride out of the bunk without the tank cap.
You can.
So let's talk a little bit about the braking performance and stopping power. So did you find that adequate? You've ridden it both in the city and long distance, right?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that?
So honestly, this bike gave me a feel of just being calm. There's no rush in riding the bike. So I beg to differ on his point saying that you can't ride it in the city. I feel that it's very, very comfortable to ride in the city, far more so than I would ride either the Interceptor or the GT.
I'm saying you can ride in the city. I'm just saying it won't be in its elements.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
It's a big bike. The wheelbase is long. So imagine in like say bumper to bumper traffic or just any scenario in Bangalore
throttle
traffic.
control, man.
Possibly, but I wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, you could. I'm not saying you can't. It requires some effort. What did you think about the brakes? I'll tell you after you.
Honestly, I like the front brake. The rear brake was. Honestly, I like the brakes. That's also because I like a snatchy brake at the back.
Yeah, I was just I wanted to say that I was impressed by the back brake. I use the back brake a lot.
Right?
I use the back brake a lot, and it's a strong back brake. See,
Yeah.
this bike is not a bike that you ride fast. Like fast in the sense you can reach high speed, but you get there calmly and in a relaxed fashion. You're not going to hustle it like say the GT or anything like that. So you don't need the kind of braking power that really stops a bike. So this is all progressive. So the brakes do a fantastic job in that way. The back brake I like. It's very grabby, and I use the back brake a lot.
Yeah. The feedback we've got is it's a bit aggressive.
Correct. So again, it depends on your riding style. A lot of people don't even use the back brake. I use the back brake a lot. I like that kind of back brake. So again, there's something. It's subjective. So when you test ride the bike,
Honestly, I think this is a bike that you need to use both front and back brakes.
I agree. The weight, it's carrying a lot of weight. So if you're going at high speeds, it's always good to use both together.
So talking of weight, a lot of feedback has come in saying it's a very well balanced motorcycle.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that. The center of gravity is very well managed.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah. The best way to tell if a motorcycle is well balanced is you get it off the center stand and you sit on it and you can immediately tell, okay, is it easy or hard to move around? This bike feels effortless, even though it weighs what, 250?
240.
Or
243.
243 kgs were wet.
dry.
So in excess of 250 wet. See, that shows that engineering, the engineering gone into it to make it seem light. And the moment you start moving, it feels like a 200 kg bike. The 50 kgs just disappear. So in that sense, fantastic. Yeah, and this is a bike where the weight works in its advantage once it's moving because it feels so stable. It's got a long wheelbase, right? So it's the best way I described it to Bhagwat was it feels like a freight train.
Yeah.
You're on rails.
Good old classic
Yeah. So nothing can move you. No crosswinds, nothing. If you're going straight, you're going straight.
Yeah. You're creating turbulence behind you.
It's got presence.
Shake you on the road.
Yeah. It's a beautiful feeling, Mike.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the tire setup. So it has a 19-inch front and an 18-inch at the rear. So what do you think about that?
Honestly, in the beginning,
You were worried about the 19 front.
yeah, it's not really the size in terms of 19 inches, it's the width, the tire section. That
it too
felt
narrow?
a little too narrow.
No, but it's also like, see, otherwise it would get very hard steering.
No, that's exactly it. So in the beginning, when I looked at it, when you're looking at it standing, you feel like there's something off. But when you start riding it, it felt like you're riding on rails.
Yeah.
Like it felt planted.
Yeah. I think the tires are great. These are MRFs, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They do the job. They're not
is a
exceptional
hybrid.
tires or anything like that, but they do the job well and they suit the bike.
Yeah.
You don't need aggressive tires for this kind of bike and this kind of riding. So, and they shouldn't be too expensive also. Once you wear out, MRFs are generally very reasonable, so easy to maintain also.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these are tubed, right?
These are tubes, yes.
I mean, honestly, everyone makes a big deal about this whole tubeless thing. I'm fine. For a bike like this, it's a retro bike. I'd rather have spokes and tubes. How often are you going to get a puncture? Maybe once in a while. Yes, it's heavy. This is a great time to like avail of the RSA that Royal Enfield provides, right?
This is a mandatory
Yeah.
requirement for this
This bike, yeah.
Pick up
I mean,
RSA, have a puncher, tell them to come.
Yeah,
Why are
bike
you paying so much for the bloody bike? Take the services, dude.
No, and RSA is so convenient for Royal Enfield because
Yeah.
it's all India, right? You can be in
Yeah,
some,
yeah. It's
you can
really
be
all
in
India.
some godforsaken place anywhere in the country, and there's always
Yeah,
RSA
there's
not too far
always
away.
help coming,
Yeah.
so long as you have phone signal.
Correct. So
Yeah.
don't worry about the tube tires. It's fine. It suits the
Yeah.
bike. It's what the bike's meant to. So just enjoy the riding.
So talking about that, a lot of classic 350 riders like to take their motorcycles to Leh Ladakh, right? And since this has the power and on the highway cruiser, what are your thoughts on taking this motorcycle to Leh Ladakh?
This is a controversial topic. Yeah. You go, and then I'll give you my thing.
Honestly, as they say, you can try, but you may not succeed.
So this whole thing where people used to take the classic 350 was, I think, during a time when people didn't have too many options, right? There was no Himalayan, there was no KTM's and this thing.
Oh,
So the only bike and only option they had was the 350, which was, India's tractor of sorts on two wheels. So they took it. But nowadays, with so many different bikes that are specialized in certain things, makes sense. See, this on highways, you won't have an issue. But the moment the roads get difficult, you're not going to. It's a type of bike, it's a more specialized bike. You wouldn't really want to put yourself through that. And it's heavy, not to mention. So the moment you get stuck in any sort of whatever, road imperfection or river crossing, God forbid you go through a river crossing with this. It's asking for trouble. Yeah.
It's too heavy, it'll sink.
It's not a bike meant for those things.
Yeah.
So
So talk about the ground clearance. It's something that people have complained about. rather.
let's just say you are never going to have an issue with city speed breakers or anything like that.
Yeah.
Even the unscientific city speed.
Yeah. As long as they're not like small mountains, I think you're good.
Yeah. Well, those are called dividers.
So let's talk about riding this motorcycle on the highway and maybe taking out in the twisties. How do you think this motorcycle is going to perform? What about cornering?
Honestly, this is I think a skilled rider will really enjoy it, but
Enjoy what?
The twisties
The
especially.
twisties.
But a novice rider is going to have
So
a bit of a
it's-
challenge.
The way you ride this bike is you flow. There's no
Yeah.
hustling. You can't you can't really.
can't push the motorcycle.
You can't push the motorcycle. The bike will take you comfortably as long as you respect what its capabilities are. It's a long wheelbase. It's this thing on highway. That's fantastic. On flowy mountain roads, you will love it. Just go with the flow. Like remember when you took the Super Meteor through the Ghats. You have to set a rhythm
Holy
for
hills.
yourself. Yeah.
Oh,
It's not easy, but once you get into the rhythm, it flows. So the same applies to this bike. So you will enjoy yourself. It just requires patience and understanding the bike.
Well, you say patience, just don't be too patient just when you're taking that
Oh,
left
yeah.
uphill. You
You need the momentum.
you need that momentum. Use that torque.
Yeah.
You have to use the torque.
Yeah, coming to torque, people have said this is a very torquey motorcycle.
Yeah. It is very nicely so because there's torque, there's power all through the gears, everywhere.
It's just like you're riding a wave of torque, and that's the character of this motorcycle and this engine.
Did you notice compared to the Bear, the sixth gear in the Bear and the sixth gear in this, this felt like a gear that felt like 5.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Do you think obviously there is a change in the sprocket sizes, I'm assuming.
And the gearing, I think.
Yeah, there is definitely. This feels very relaxed, nice,
Yeah.
but talky at the same time. You're not losing on a pickup.
yeah.
It's a very comfortable bike to ride in 5th and 6th gear on the highway.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. You
Like,
can cruise.
I remember maxing out the Bear from 5th to 6th, it felt no different.
But see, also what we don't realize is in this you're doing 120, 130, you're comfortable. You the need
Yeah,
to go not to go higher there.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Bear, with the same feeling, you're doing 140 plus, and that's why you feel that difference. How you perceive speed on these two bikes are very different.
Well, disclaimer, I know we shouldn't be going so fast, but I did 155 on this bike without, gunning the bike. Just quarter to half throttle. Did it? Please don't do the same.
That engine has been proven in all of its different versions to do about 155, 160 when you can, when the roads permit you to. It can. So it's just that I think between all the variants, it's just geared a little differently.
So did you feel any vibrations at that speed?
Oh man.
Good vibrations.
Good vibes only.
Good vibes only, yeah. No, it's a very, there is feedback. You do get it, the engine talks to you, the chassis talks to you. But at the same time, it's not uncomfortable. Did you ever feel really uncomfortable?
I did at some points.
Oh, yeah. At 100, right? Remember?
Exactly at
There's a
100.
weird.
Yeah, it's like there's a resonance with the amount of metal that's there on this bike. That, just at that one particular point.
And not even that high. Like we were riding 100 in 6th gear and it vibes. You get a vibration of the seat and the seat. It's just a weird thing in between. And like he said.
And then post 120 it disappears.
Yeah,
It just completely vanishes.
yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah. It's, I think it's got to do with how much mass it has or something.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I mean, it's a quirk of the bike. Which probably adds to character, right? So initially, I was like, I wasn't blown away right at the beginning. I was like, okay, I mean, I get it. It feels like a shotgun. And then when you start riding it and you start opening it up, it comes into its own. And suddenly, I didn't want to give up the bike. I was like, listen, I want to ride it. You ride my bike, I'll continue riding it. It just grows up, and it grows me very quickly. You just need to give it some time. You really need to open it out to experience it. So short rides are not going to tell you what.
And you need to understand, see, this is a slip and assist clutch, so it feels really nice to shift.
Yeah.
And once you understand it's where it wants to be, where it's happiest, and you keep it at that, oh my God, it's a gem.
But it's a huge torque curve, so you can't really go wrong. Like you're riding the wave of torque constantly throughout. So in any gear, wherever it is, a lot of pickup,
You
a lot
can
of
short shift this bike.
Yeah. That's what makes it so easy to ride. Yeah.
So, coming to someone who's looking to buy a 650, right? He has multiple options now within Royal Enfield itself. Would you recommend this motorcycle?
Case to case, I would, but
It also depends on what they're going to use it for. So I'll tell you, if this is someone's second bike, slightly on the older side, like I'd say above 35, who's got others faster bikes, or say a Himalayan, or even any other sporty bike, and wants to just relax, possibly take the wife/girlfriend on the weekend and relax and just enjoy the whole experience as a ride, not just go really fast. This is a perfect second bike.
So, what do you think are the top 3 pros of owning this motorcycle, and what do you think are the things that Royal Enfield could have worked on these motorcycles?
Okay, so pros, firstly, I think it's a great looking bike. First, you walk up to it, the first thing you're like, wow, that's a nice looking
So,
bike.
you think it's a head turner?
Yeah, absolutely. Even sitting on it, I remember when Gautam was sitting on the bike while I was sitting. I couldn't stop. He's riding it, and I was looking at him on my bike, and I was like, giving him the thumbs up, like, and you're going to get a lot of that on the road. People are going to appreciate how it looks. So first thing is looks. It's definitely a head turn. Yeah. Actually, we haven't spoken about sound. This engine, I think this engine in all its iterations, each one has a slightly different sound, and it's unique to that bike. Fantastic. You've done a great job. Not too loud, the guy who's riding it can hear it. When he gets on the gas, he knows he's getting on the gas. He can hear it. It's not obnoxious to everyone else. It sounds this thing. The exhaust, the pea shooter exhausts look really good. I'm sure the aftermarket's going to have like tons of options. So yeah, it sounds fantastic. What's the second pro that according to
I
you?
think it's the riding stance.
Yeah, comfort.
Yeah, comfort for sure.
100%. I think we've said all we had to.
So for you, the top three, what would the top three be?
Looks first, comfort 100%, and third thing is that engine.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, disclaimer here, I haven't ridden it on bad roads. The roads that I rode it on were very good. But we have ridden the shotgun and the Super Meteor extensively. Actually, Super Meteor extensively, shotgun a little bit. The suspension is better than that. It's not as firm, not as hard. But I don't know how well it'll do on bad roads. Because it is the same frame from the looks of it. So there's only so much magic they can do. And it looks like the same suspension, which they've tweaked. But I don't know how it would. Have you ridden it on bad roads?
Well, does Koramangala count as bad road?
EG Pura signal.
How was it? Was it good, bad? What was it?
Well, it was okay, but it wasn't like I was riding on gravel or anything. So
Potholes, how did it handle? Better than the Super Meteor? I mean, definitely better than the Super Meteor.
definitely better than
Was
the
it better
Super
than the
shotgun.
shotgun?
Yeah, honestly, the suspension didn't whack me.
So they've worked on it. They've actually done something to it.
I don't know if they worked on it or if it's just that heavy that it just now the springs compress.
Possibly. Whatever it is, it
But
works.
whatever it is, it works.
3 things that Ari could have worked on.
Oh, 3. They could have done better.
Tubeless.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
For sure. Spoke tubeless.
yeah, if they do it for the Himalayan, they can do it for this,
100%. Like, come on. This is
Fair
a
enough.
But a little birdie tells me that it's in the oven.
right?
From what I know and what I hear, it's in the works.
So it's like the same as the Himalayan, the cross spoke.
Yeah, or the classic Goan.
Oh yeah, the classic Goan.
Yeah, classic one.
Yeah, so that's crosspoke tubeless. Second?
That would help. I mean, if it's an option, 100%. I think most people would choose it.
Man, imagine trying to change the tire on this.
That's where RSA comes in.
Exactly.
Imagine being stranded on the road for half a day and then RTC shows up.
I know.
in all honesty, yeah, the other 2 things I think that they could honestly kind of work on is it would have been nice if they could have somehow, I don't know how, probably the weight would have helped make
It
it
takes
more
away from the
manageable.
character of the motorcycle. You
Yeah,
drop the
yeah,
weight, it
yeah.
takes away from the character. of the
Correct.
motorcycle.
So, but the old classics versatility, I feel is a slight bit lacking in this.
Yeah, simply because you got the old classic you could take anywhere. Bad
Do
roads, good
anything.
roads, anywhere.
Yeah.
This isn't made for that. So yeah, versatility wise, if they could have done something about that and made the suspension more compliant so that on bad roads and stuff, this bike would have been, we can easily recommend it to more people.
And the third and final thing is,
What?
I think, what everybody would have wanted
What?
is it's a part A and part B. Part A is a better headlight. Part B is mirrors that actually work.
I don't understand why they can't get that right.
I have no idea.
But you can upgrade to touring mirrors.
Yeah, sure, you can.
Yeah.
It's
Huh,
a
so
fix,
you-
but
okay.
then
But stock,
it
ideally,
rotates
stock-
after a certain bit. You know?
Yeah, headlight. This headlight they put on all their RE bikes is just absolute.
But from what I gather from this conversation is that we're trying hard to find what's wrong with the motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in
now
that
we're
sense-
nitpicking. Now we're nitpicking.
We're nitpicking, right? So in that sense, they've actually nailed most of the motorcycle.
Absolutely. See, for what it is, it's a great bike.
Yeah.
No bike is perfect, and there's always things that can make a bike better. But if you look at the bike as a highway cruiser and a weekend rider, and not an everyday bike, it suits its purpose
for sure.
perfectly.
And honestly,
It's a lifestyle bike for sure. It's not a daily commuter. It's not. You could use it You could get used to it like every other bike, but we'd recommend that you use it on highways predominantly, and you know you can do long journeys and stuff like that. It's beautiful bike.
and the kind of infrastructure that our country is getting now, I think this is not a problem at all.
Yeah, not a problem. And
Like
you'll
if you go
munch
Leh
miles.
Ladakh also, now the roads have changed. It's ridiculous how good the infrastructure is.
You can definitely munch miles on
You can
this.
literally take this and go now.
Yeah, you'll munch miles on this. You'll cover distances very quickly. 100 kilometers you can do like that.
Like 20 years ago, the Leh Ladakh that we're talking about is not the same Leh Ladakh as we're talking about today. Today, you can take this, you can take the Super Meteor as well. They're doing it on
But
Harleys.
I know you can do it on anything. It just depends on how much pain you want to endure.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so final thoughts on this motorcycle. Would you put your money on this motorcycle?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
See, I know you're a traditionalist, so this kind of fits into your lifestyle. And
Yeah, considering I had a Classic 500 and this color there too.
I mean, you say traditionalist, but he also rides a ZX6R, so that's the other end of the spectrum. But the
That's
point
a
is,
traditional sports bike.
this I would 100%. I said this to him also when I wrote it. Was like, if I didn't have my Interceptor, and if I had like say another Himalaya in the garage to do my other things, I would definitely consider this as a weekend bike.
Okay.
Because the satisfaction I had while riding it on the highway was so good. It made me
Just puts a smile on your face.
exactly.
You know?
It made me appreciate riding.
Yeah.
At that moment, I was sitting there. I was like, "Yeah, this is what it's all about."
Yeah. This is a bike about the journey, not about
the destination.
Yeah. I mean, most bikes are, but this reinforces that point, and you can't help but smile while riding, and that's what riding is about, right? This bike really highlights that.
Yeah, like riding around the countryside, just peaceful, just chilling.
You'll never see a person unhappy on this bike. Let's just put it that way. Even if it's bad roads or whatever it is and he's struggling, all he has to do is just ride past like a reflection of himself and he'll smile again. So,
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the Classic 650.
And yeah,
more to come, no?
I want to come.
Yeah, some interesting.
So this is our first
comparisons.
episode. So if you like us, hit what? Subscribe.
Did you ever think you'd be saying that? Yeah. Become an influencer now. Yeah.